right. Good morning, Vincent.
Hey, good
How are you
morning,
doing
Sascha.
this morning?
I'm great. What about you?
Very good, very good. Thank you. So good to speak to you, and I'm really curious to hear more about Steel Mace Training from your perspective, your background, and all of these things, because we are having something for the first time in Germany, as far as I am concerned, on that level, like the Steel Mace workshop in Frankfurt in February. And
Right.
that's going to be with you. So why don't you tell us a little bit about your background, about your where this is coming from, like your background as a trainer, as a movement coach.
Yeah, sure. Well, I was not too much into movements in the meaning that guys like you that are doing quite fantastic movements as animal flow, for example, but I was a hockey player, so kind of a much different movement, I would say. And the implementation of movement through hockey is very brutal, I would say, and we tend to be more about efficiency in our own spectrum, and that's it. And well, I got pretty much crushed and started to think about after my career, because I didn't play professional, I was just below the professional level. I started. I I've been after that. I went to the other side. I became a sports director for a semi-professional team, and I started looking at how we train people. And I was like, something is wrong there. We don't think about the human, the professional player or the amateur player. We think about performance. We think about they have to score, they have to do this and that, and we don't really level up the people from the bottom of their skill to the end skill, which is scoring a goal in terms of hockey. And I was like, we need to find something else. And I started looking around for myself. So I needed something for my shoulder. Honestly, I was looking on the internet, scrolling around, like there's got to be something miraculous about it. And I found the mace, like in beginning of 2016, I guess. And I was like, hey, I see all these guys doing stuff overhead and stuff, and it's going to unlock my shoulders. So I ordered some at On It and started. Oh, that's a funny thing. I was a hockey player. I was bench pressing 130 kilograms, one rep. I don't look big, right? But I did it, and I was like, I'm strong. I'm gonna get a 25-pound mace, right? And I received the mace first day, and I was like, I took the cardboard, and I was like, why is this weight at the bottom of the cardboard when the thing is that long? And this is when something struck. I was like, offset load. How heavy is a 25 offset load comparing to a kettlebell, for example, a 25-pound kettlebell? And they probably made fun of me at the On It warehouse because the same day I ordered a 7 and a 10 pounds. Because 25 is a beast, man.
Yeah.
So I started like that on my own, and I did a lot of mistakes because I thought it was a mobility tool, which it can be in a certain context, and this is one of the things that we implement in our workshop. But I started again crushing myself because I was doing swings all around when I didn't have the overhead mobility required for it, and I didn't work on that specific thing. And I learned. And since then, I decided to pretty much, I told myself, well, you know how to move it, but do you really dig into it? You need to get people to teach you the real basics of it, the foundation. So that's when I decided to leave for the USA, in fact.
So this is so then you went to the USA to kind of discover the mace, steel mace training through On It, I guess,
Exactly.
right? Yeah.
So I went there, yeah, well, as it's quite a long travel and money-wise, it was a big investment. I reached out to them I wanted to do more than one certification in 1 week. So I went there for the steel clubs in collective clubs, and I did the steel mace and the foundations in private. So I had Eric Isik Meland, which was the master coach at that time, and I had really the huge chance to be 4 days with him, 4 full days with him, learning from, I mean, the guy who, I mean, Steel Mace has been here for thousands of years. maybe
Yeah, so
not
that's
Steel Mace, but
that's another question I have later on, like
yeah, right.
where is
So
this from, where it's coming from, etc. But yeah.
yeah, Isik, he made it modern. He took a very old tool and he made it. He just decided, I'm going to make a squat with it. I'm going to make a lunge. I'm going to make a hinge, and I'm going to activate it in a certain way that makes that offset load important and I would say effective, right? So he's the OG, the original gangster of the mace that we have today. Even though the mace is as old as yoga, pretty much, I would say. So he's really, I mean, the guy to go to when you want to have the basics in terms of strength and conditioning. So that's why I went there to see him.
Yeah.
And yeah, it really gave me a lot. I mean, even though if it was a year and a half I was doing it, in just an hour with him, I was like blown away. I was doing everything wrong.
Well, I guess, to some part that, you said you were crushing yourself over again after your hockey career. I mean, this is also something that, I know that mental mindset that you have as an athlete, you kind of challenge yourself to a level that is not always, necessarily the best for yourself in terms of health, but more in terms of performance.
Right.
And I guess, that's something that you were then relearning through discovering the maze. Like, oh damn, I'm crushing myself again. Like, this is supposed to be making me feel better, right?
Yeah. And it was not. I mean,
Yeah.
at some point it was because it was. I mean, the load was definitely lighter than any other thing I was doing before, barbells and Olympic lifts. But so it was getting better, but still, I felt in my body I needed something more precise in how I handle it.
So the way I understand it, because I have been following on it myself for a long time, basically since their birth or whatever, how you want to say it, some years ago. And I mean, for me, this would be the place to go to for learning a concept like that. So is it like good to say, or would it be like safe
Oh,
to say that
well,
you learned it
that's
from
a
basically?
very political thing to talk about these days because they have lost all their master coaches.
Ah, okay.
So honestly, in terms of education, they lost a lot. I'm not saying the guys on site are not good. They are,
Mm,
but they had that much assets when I went there. They had the durability master coach, the steel mace, the steel club, the battle ropes and stuff. And now they only have Shane Hines and John Wolf. They don't have anybody else leaving left. I mean, so today, honestly, I can't judge because I didn't do any certification since my last one when everybody was there.
yeah.
But if you're looking for steel mace education, what on it is, I would say, still good because they have the curriculum from Eric Isik Meland. So he built it really to give people from the beginning till the end. In 2 days, you should be able to handle the mace with every type of pattern. So that's still the same curriculum. So it should
Okay.
be good.
But I mean, I guess, for us, the good thing then is that we have you who learned it from
Right.
Eric, who is now spreading the movement concept, the training concept, the way you learned it and the way you perceive it as like to be pretty good.
Right.
To be very, very awesome, actually. Just a quick, could you give us like just a quick information about where is like the Steel Mace training from? Like what are the origins
Yeah.
and how are you going to teach this in the workshop then compared to where it's from?
Yeah. So the origin is a warrior origin. So the many thousand years ago, people in India, they had to handle people like Alexander the Great, who was coming with horses and very very heavy. How do you call the iron we had when
The
we were
armor.
back? Armor, exactly.
Yeah.
So they needed something with more leverage than just knives and stuff like that, because all we see in movies where swords are hitting each other. This is not true. If you see people really battling, they just it was a just like jiu-jitsu. People were putting swords together, clicking them, and trying to put a dagger inside the armor, right? Because the armor was too thick. So these guys in India, they pretty much thought we have to get these guys down the horses and then kill them. So they had that movement that they were repeating to get shoulder endurance, in fact, to be able to get these guys off the horses and get them to be killed on the floor. It's good to be able to make one rep at 130 bench pressing, but on the battlefield, that doesn't mean anything.
All right, so
to be quick and quick for a long time, because you need to be able to do this thousands of times without being tired, right?
Yeah. So the modern battlefield, so to speak. So how does that translate to the modern desk jockey, who is the modern warrior,
right, exactly.
who then occasionally goes to the gym to do some, So how does that translate to modern workshops where you teach the Steel Mace training? What are people actually experiencing there?
Now they are experiencing what we could call the modern warrior way. So that means that they want to have back that warrior feeling of owning ourselves, getting back to our body. The good thing with the Steel Mace, and this is really what we want to preach in our workshop, is how do you handle and how do you take the most out of a very light weight, in fact. Because the weight of the mace, if you just push it like this, it's a dead weight. And what we want to teach people is how to maximize the effect of that offset load, that multiplanar and 3-dimension movement way of using it, which does give you at the end of the day, a daily, how can I say that? It's how we move. We move in diagonal, we never move straight, honestly. I mean, here, you're looking at me straight because we're sitting, but we're not moving in terms of...
We're talking in sagittal plane right now.
Exactly. And the Steel Mace is really giving you the opportunity to go there, and back there, and maybe behind the computer, and there's a way to activate it. And what we want to bring with that workshop, with all the, because we talked about on it, but it's not the only influence. What I believe is it's something really deep in my heart that I want to bring. I'm not trying to coach Steel Mace coaches with my workshops. I'm not trying to build a base of Steel Mace coaches. What I want is coaches to get that tool into their toolbox. And the Steel Mace is only one tool in so many that are valuable. And I'm not trying to tell people just use the mace. I want to tell you how it would implement the best way in your context. If you're a chiropractor, if you're a personal trainer, if you're a ballet dancer, I don't care. We want to personalize the workshop to everybody here and saying, oh, you can use it that way. You're a CrossFitter? Warm up. Perfect. You're going to recruit every muscle you want with that you would not with a normal warm-up. We want people to have that tool to help them get better. We don't want them, maybe if then Sascha Müller says, I'm a Steel Mace coach because I move like hell with the mace, all good too. It's another aspect of it. But we're not coming and being dogmatic about the mace when we come to our workshop. We want people to take that tool and make it something more valuable in their own training or with their clients.
No, that's great. I love that. This is such a good statement, that those last few sentences that you just brought there. It is that non-dogmatic approach, which is what I love about animal flow, which is what I love about, some of the other concepts I do preach, teach, and use with my clients or for myself. So I love that you said that. That's going to be one tool for the coaches to add to your toolbox. It's not going to be to be this tool only from here on, because this is just going to be an addition to your experience as a coach, to your toolbox. Very nice. And, cool.
The good, it's funny, but it's a good thing. Now I have tons of people. I'm always saying at the workshop, send me your videos. I can tell you if your technique is good and how your clients are moving with it. Are they pulling enough? Are they compressing enough the mace or anything? And many people send me videos and I'm always responding. And what I love with that is that I always say, I see this on your video. I believe they should be doing this more or less, but I don't know the context. So tell me in which context this client is moving, and then I can answer you, right? And we never hear that around. We need more programming and more context with these kind of tools, right?
Nice. So Just a few more questions, or one or two more questions regarding that workshop. So the workshop is coming up in February
Right.
next year. So we have set a date for that. That's going to be, I think, the 22nd or 23rd of February. What was the date again? 22nd of February. And what is your suggestion? Who is it for?
Well, I always say it's for everybody. Look around. Look, last Sunday we had the last one in Lausanne, in the French part of Switzerland. We had 8 people coming in. We had 2 fitness enthusiasts, martial artists. One of them was a martial artist. The other one was just a fitness enthusiast. We had a ballet dancer. We had a physiotherapist. We had a personal trainer, a CrossFit owner, and what was the other ones? One ex judoka from the French team, which is a pretty good team, which is a personal trainer too, and another one who is a box and MMA coach. Awesome. So I love that. You need to have diversity, and we believe it's a pretty tough day. Honestly, it's 7 hours of moving because we want people to move. There's not that much. We leave the speaking behind the workouts so that people recover and we can tell them about the theory behind the steel mace and answer questions and stuff. But I believe it's for everybody. If you're in pretty good shape, you could make it. But to be honest, we tend to be very precise with professionals like personal trainers, physiotherapists, doctors. Anything that is around the health community is really what we strive for. So I would say fitness enthusiasts, they would love it, but there will be moments after the workouts, for example, when we speak more technically, that they would be a bit lost. But as we're hopping right away into moving, it's fine for them. But we really like to have professionals because we also learn tons with them. What I like is having that interaction with guys like you, guys like PTs and stuff. And we pretty much change our workshops after any of them because we learn something every time ourselves.
It's the same with me. I mean, I teach different modalities, and each workshop, like you in retrospect, this weekend I was teaching in Budapest a 2-day workshop. Every time, no matter how many times I've been teaching this workshop, there's some things, this worked really well, that workshop. Why did it work so well? And then, you adjust tiny, small things. Right. But this is your evolution as a coach, as long as you get the baseline message across.
Right? And it's about being able to evolve. I mean, and it's also about, the Steel Mace is about being able to evolve, because you're going to have, I mean, it's the less complex, I believe it's the less complex tool to give to people, but it can also be the more complex, right? So there's that, you can give it to old people, 90 years old, for example, just sitting and using it with their hands, you can make miracles. And you can give it to any athletes, any young athlete, they can use it at a higher complexity for sure. And because it's about being open-minded to new things and just evolving.
Love that. Vincent, I kind of want to wrap it up right here to kind of like not make it too long, the whole video. So why don't you tell us, just if people want to look more into the details, like about you, where can they find out more about you?
So the main thing would be to check my Instagram and the association we have. So mine is Vincent Moruman, and the association we have is Steel Mace Suisse. We might make it Steel Mace Europe soon because we're going international, but you will find tons of things there. We're not posting that much though, but there's also a couple of Instagrams. If you want to look around for the Steel Mace, guys like Steel Mace Education, Steel Mace Workshops, Eric Meland for sure, Viking Ninja. If you want to see the more creative side of the mace, you can check Steel Mace Flow, which is very different movement, but people are moving well there too. So there's a ton of it.
Sweet. Thank you very much, Vincent. So I'm looking forward to have you here in February. On February 22nd it is. 7 hours all day of moving, learning in theory, in practical. Exactly. And you're going to be coming with your friend Mark, right? So you two will be co-teaching for a full day.
Yeah. So Mark is here because how can I say that? Mark is the best mover I've never seen.
You have
Maybe
ever seen or never seen?
I've never seen. I've never seen somebody moving as well as him in any context. He
All right.
picks up the tool. He knows how to do it the next day. You know. So he's maybe not the best in everything, but he's becoming the best as long as he's got the tool to use it. You know.
Okay.
And so he's putting me in shame at every workshops.
Yeah.
So it's funny because I have the basics of the steel mace, but he's got to be more serious. All the programming, all the serious stuff, you ask Mark. I'm the entertainer, and he's the very precise and serious guys. And he's an OPEX gym owner, so he's got all that background and.
Awesome. I'm looking forward to see the combination of you two teach
Yeah.
that workshop. And so let's wrap it up. Let's say thank you very much for having this conversation and giving us some information about what Steel Mace is about. Let's wrap it up and say see you next time, Vincent. Thank you very much.
You, Sascha. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Very much.